Next at 1, a giant pipe sends millions of gallons of water into the streets of North Park, evacuating a school, damaging more than a dozen homes, and leaving nearly 100 people without power. And this is not the first or second time this has happened in the area.
Live from San Diego, this is the Fox 5 News at 1.
Our big story, as we looked at that picture from North Park, is a water main break that flooded multiple streets in that neighborhood, shut down a school, and left nearly 100 people without water and power service. A large 2-foot pipe ruptured just after 7 this morning next to the North Park Community Park at the intersection of Idaho Street and Polk Avenue. So we talked to some residents earlier, and joining me around the table to talk about who has to pay for the cleanup is Evan Walker. You're an attorney. You deal oftentimes with property claims and damage from the things around the city. So looking at this video, Evan, and we heard earlier, the city is telling people if your house was damaged, if your car was damaged, we saw some of that video, file a claim. What kind of happens next?
So the practical steps would be anyone that has damage should document the damage. And the best way to do that is to take out your phone and videotape it, right? That would be the first thing. The second thing that I would do is make sure you put all of your insurance companies on notice. So if you have renter's insurance, if you have condos insurance, you have homeowner's insurance, if you have auto insurance, your auto policy should cover the flood damage. Bad news is nothing else will. Not renters, not condos, not homeowners. Really?
So you have to have specific flood damage or flood insurance to cover something like this?
That's correct, and that's only issued by the federal government under the NFIP program. So unless a homeowner bought supplemental flood coverage, your standard homeowner's policy will not cover this type of damage.
Okay, so then that brings us to the question, so what do? You have $10,000 in damage in your house because the city's pipe ruptured. Do you sue the city? Do you make the, I mean, obviously you'd think that they should pay for it.
So the proper thing to do once you've documented the loss and you've called the insurance company is you should submit a government claim against the city of San Diego. Now, it's important for people to realize that this is a legal document you're required to submit, which means, among other things, you're signing this under oath. And so it's very important that you speak with someone that's knowledgeable before you just fill out this paperwork and you send it in. Number one. Number two is it has to be done within a certain time period, so people should not wait. It's usually 6 months from the date of loss that the paperwork has to get into the city, and then the city has 45 days to act by either accepting or denying the claim, and then that triggers another period within which a person has the right to actually sue the city in court.
Have you dealt with a lot of these flooding type cases before? I mean, is the city pretty quick to respond to something like this?
I deal with this on a regular basis. It's a good bit of my practice, and I will say from experience that the city does not like these claims.
Right, well, because they don't want to obviously pay out more money, but I mean, are they, once you go through the paperwork though, do they a lot of times end up paying, or is it the homeowners who are left sucking up the cost?
I will say that it is a fight against the city, and I speak again from experience. It's not made easy to citizens of San Diego who suffer like this. There's not anyone at the other end at City Hall writing out checks. It's not that simple.
Let me ask you before I let you go, we have seen, it feels like every week we're reporting on a water main break somewhere around the city. We know that we've got aging infrastructure. The city is trying to get ahead of the game. They can't do it. Is there a potential for a class action suit here in that multiple neighbors could come together and say, listen, in North Park it's happened 3 times, to say we are tired of doing this and kind of band together?
Of course, that's a possibility. Something to keep in mind is the fact that this has happened before. There's a very compelling argument to be made that the city knew something like this would happen and they failed to act.
Really interesting. All right, Evan Walker, thanks for being around the table. Appreciate it.